Hello everyone, and welcome to the first edition of The Eyes Have It, an education issues show on important topics in Richland School District 2. A top priority in our district is, and always will be, school safety. Over the years, Richland Two has established itself as a national leader in safety and security. And today, we are going to let you know what we are doing to keep our schools safe. Our guests today are Jack Carter, Executive Director of Operations, and Charles Earls, who heads up Emergency Services. Good afternoon, folks. I'd like for you, if you will, to please give us a general overview of the measures we have in place to keep our schools safe. Does every school and site have a written safety plan?
Yes, every school and site does have a written safety plan. There are 4 phases to preparedness for any type of safety challenge. There's mitigation, planning and practice, response, and recovery. The district as a whole and each individual school has a role in each one of these planning phases. The district provides an emergency procedures guide as a general guide for the schools. The schools then take that guide, boil it down to the specific challenges that they have at their school, and then they take that and further boil it down to a checklist of action steps for all the staff. And these are the action steps that are used in drills and in actual emergencies. The plans are constantly revised and updated. Anytime that there's an incident of any type or a drill, the staff gets back together and looks at what's happened. Can we do it better? What can we change to make it better?
Right. People may not know that Richland Two has a 24/7, 365-day internal security staff. Tell us about their role and how many other districts in the state have such a staff.
As far as I know, we're the only school district in the state of South Carolina that has a full-time security staff of any type. Our officers provide a highly visible uniform presence on campuses throughout the district, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They patrol campuses both day and night. They respond to any alarms, whether they be fire alarms during the day or burglar alarms at night. They respond to any issues or problems on campus to lend a hand to the administration of the schools. In addition to that, on a routine basis, each day we provide traffic control points, about 40 in the morning and about 40 in the afternoon, to help with the safety of the students and the parents in the district.
While we are always looking to improve, what proactive safety measures has the district taken over the years?
Well, right after the tragedy in Columbine, all school districts countrywide began to look at their system. One of the things that became really evident to us right off the bat was our teachers could not secure their classrooms. So over 3 years, we've had to phase it. We used capital improvement dollars, and we went through the district and essentially replaced every door and every keying in every school, so that a teacher, in the case of an emergency or a lockdown, could in fact from the inside lock their door. It also had the benefit of putting us on a single keyway, so that if there's something going on, Chuck or I or selected people have a great grand master, we can open up any door in the district. Before, you'd have a key ring this big around trying to be able to do that, and you'd have to figure out which school keys would work. So that was an added benefit of that. We also introduced what we call the 800 series radios, so that we have instant communications with our schools. Many schools had their own little internal Motorola radios that they could talk on, but with these new 800 radios, we have instant communications district-wide. We make one announcement and everybody gets the message instantly, and that's a big help. We require badges on everybody to include our contractors, so that they can be readily identified as a contractor and not just someone roaming up and down the hall. After we got the perimeter of our district secured with the doors, then we decided we wanted to add cameras. So we began adding cameras, and we have now 2,048 cameras in the district. We add cameras every year. We cover all the entrances and exits to schools. We also cover high visibility or high gathering areas like gyms, cafeterias, courtyards, and doing a constant assessment. Every school every year asks for additional cameras, and we assess that and put in additional cameras. One of the things we learned as we locked all the doors and all the perimeter was people still had to go in and out to go to recess or for athletics. So we began to initially we put in keypads so that they would have a code, they would punch it in the keypad, and they could then go and come and the door could stay secure. Well, we found that didn't work as well as we had hoped, so now we've gone to card readers. So you have a card, you swipe the card. The beauty of that is it not only allows us to keep the door locked, it also allows us to record who goes in and out of the school and when they go in and out. We added Lobby Guard a few years ago. Lobby Guard is a device that sits at the entrance to all of our schools, and when you come to visit, you have to put your driver's license into the Lobby Guard. It checks you against the National Sex Offenders Registry, and it prints out a badge with your picture on it, so that you're now walking around the school and the folks in the school know that you're authorized to be there. If you don't pass the test, if you do come up as a hit on the National Sex Offenders Registry, you then have to be escorted if you're going to be in the school. So those are kind of the key things we've done. Right now we have 130 readers. This year we plan on, through our capital improvements plan, adding significantly increasing the number of doors that we have those readers on. And again, we'll add more cameras. So that's our focus.
Right. Have we ever had a professional outside security firm do a safety audit of our district? And if so, what did they find?
Well, about 2 years ago, we asked Robert Stewart, who was the former SLED chief here in South Carolina, to come in and do an audit of our plans. And he did, and he sat down with our staff and sat down with the leadership of the district after he was completed and essentially said we were ahead of the power curve. We have checked all the blocks that we need to be checking, that we're spending our money appropriately, and we have the right plans in place. Coincidentally, on the 19th of February, Chuck attended a conference hosted by the State Department of Education with a gentleman named Kenneth Trump, who is from Cleveland, Ohio, and is a national authority on school safety and security. And I think Chuck would tell you that as he sat through that morning seminar, it was evident that, once again, we are ahead of just about everybody else in the country, not just the state, but in the country, and what we have done and how we've spent our money.
Right. Chuck, what drills and exercises have been done to prepare for an emergency?
Well, certain drills are done frequently. We have fire drills, earthquake drills, severe weather drills, and intruder drills. And the intruder drills include both an interior intruder and a threat from the outside where the school is locked just on the perimeter. We also offer the administration tabletop exercises. Tabletop exercises are generally the most effective way to deal with planning for emergencies because we can tailor them specifically to the schools that are involved. It gives us an opportunity to have a guided, open, frank discussion with the staff, about how they would respond, how any problems that they might foresee, and how they could either prevent or overcome those problems.
Great. So really it's fair for us to say that our schools are among the safest places for children to be.
I absolutely believe that. I think that we have the right forces in place, we have the right training in place, our plans are good, and we do the appropriate things.
Very good. Thank you, Jack and Chuck, for being here. We certainly appreciate it. When we return, we will discuss more about school safety.
Back in the 80s, Adrienne Coleman dreamed of being a star. Today, she is one. Adrienne, now known as Monique Coleman of High School Musical fame, is a product of Richland School District 2. Recently, she returned to her elementary school, Forest Lake Elementary, to pay tribute to a teacher who inspired and motivated her.
I was raised here in Columbia, South Carolina, and I attended Forest Lake Elementary School. And when I go around and speak to schools, everyone asks me, how did you decide to be an actress? And I tell them about a teacher that I had when I was in 3rd grade.
That's Monique's story. Richland Two wants to hear yours. Your story doesn't have to be one of fame and fortune, but simply a teachable moment in a classroom, an act of generosity, inspiration, or encouragement. Share your Richland Two story on the district's website. There you will also find the Richland Two story, written by a team of Richland Two employees serving on the district's design team.
Welcome back. We've been discussing school safety in Richland Two. In addition to making sure our schools are safe, the district is well prepared with school psychologists, counselors, social workers, and nurses actively working throughout the year to prevent emergencies. However, Richland Two also has a crisis response team to help students and staff in the event of a school emergency. Joining me to discuss these are District Lead Nurse Dawn McAdams, Dr. Shirley Vickery, Director of Psychological Services, Lead Social Worker Abby Cobb, and Dr. Karen Cooper-Haber, Coordinator of Family Intervention Services. At this time, we're going to ask some questions. Welcome, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us today. Shirley, tell us a little about psychological services and the work your staff takes to prevent situations that could become emergencies.
Sure. You know, the first thing we really think about doing in a school is working with our system to have some structures in place to support our staff and parents in doing the things that we need to do for students. So within the school, each school has what we call an intervention assistance team that takes referrals on from anybody in the school really who might be concerned about a student. We take referrals from parents and from staff members. That leads us to putting some steps in place to work with the students who really need help of a variety of sorts.
If an emergency does occur, what is the role of the district's crisis response team?
Well, we have several folks who are the district level crisis responders, and what happens when we find out that there's been an upsetting event, let's say that a staff member has died or something like that, that's really the kind of crisis we're talking about. We'll call a couple of those folks, which includes some of the people sitting around here today, and we'll go to the school and work with the administration in that school and with the helping professionals who are assigned to that school. It's important for our crisis team members to really support those people in the school who know the staff, the students, and help them in making plans. The first thing we'll do is find out what the information is about, what's happened, and try to figure out who it might impact in the school so we can make a plan for need for additional staff members or reaching out to the community, things like that.
In addition to yourself, who else would play a part in our crisis response team?
Well, our lead nurse, Dawn McAdams, is one of the folks that I call on, and our lead social worker, Abby Cobb. We also have a cadre of counselors at Intervention Services, which help us with these things too. And then each school has assigned to them school counselors, at least one per school, sometimes more than one, a school nurse, one per school, a school social worker assigned to every school, and a school psychologist. So we'll pull in the people in that site to support those efforts.
Great. Well, Dawn's here obviously today as well. So, Dawn, what is the role of the school nurses in preventing situations that might escalate into an emergency?
Many times the school nurse is the first person to come in contact with a student, whether it is some type of a medical issue that develops into an emergency situation or some type of a mental health issue where we're concerned about the safety of the student and we get others within the school involved to come up with a plan on how best to assist this student and the family.
Great. Abby, as the lead social worker, you and the district's other social workers also play a part in preventing emergencies. Tell us a little bit about the services you provide for our students and their families after an emergency.
Sure. Absolutely. Our social workers, as Shirley stated, are part of the team that would go in to assess the crisis at the school. So they would be part of the on-site team that would come into contact with the students and staff who may need assistance. But in addition, our social workers really have an ability to follow up with students and families after an emergency has occurred. And they have the ability to determine what might be some ongoing needs that might need to get some assistance from continually, and being able to connect them with community resources that can help them address those needs. Whether it might be medical or counseling or mental health services, they have the ability to get the family connected with the resources outside of the school.
Terrific, thank you. Karen, what is Family Intervention Services, and what kinds of support can your staff provide to the students and families in our district?
Intervention Services is essentially a counseling service provided by the district. We are housed on the campus of Richland Northeast High School. We have 5 mental health professionals, 5 clinicians on our staff, 1 bilingual, as well as between, say, 20, maybe 10 and 20 trainees each year who work with our families and go out into the schools. We receive our referrals from administrators, the hearing board, school psychologists, social workers, teachers, as well as intervention assistance teams if they determine that a student or a family needs help. We do work primarily with the family, and I think that it's important to know that families are a protective factor. So if we have an at-risk student, whether it be having a behavioral problem or depressed or anxious or suffering some sort of loss or family disruption, it's important that we have professionals who are trained to work with the entire family system.
Despite all of these steps, we realize no amount of effort will ever be enough. However, as Richland Two parents and residents, you can be confident in the steps the district has taken to ensure a safe and secure environment. Richland Two pledges to remain vigilant and constantly work on improving our ability to protect every student and employee in our care. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us here today on The Eyes Have It.
This program brought to you by